Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Robert Langdon. Welcome to Emerge Gallery. This has been a series since haven't been able to do any openings, public openings, been doing these virtual artist discussions and tours of the show, which I think, you know, with the openings, you really don't get much time to sit and really talk about the art with the artists. So this really allows us an opportunity to get to know the works in the show a little bit more and right from the artist. So there's a lot of work in this show. It's called Something Blue. I do a lot of theme shows at the gallery. They're pretty much all group shows. I did the Something Blue show about 2 years ago, maybe even 3 years ago. And one of the reasons why I did it is blue is one of my favorite colors. So, you know, I mean, just blue can be comforting. It could be, you know, a little bit frenetic. There's so many feelings that are associated with blue, depression. But one of the things I do love the color blue, and I always had to stop myself from bringing in too much blue for a lot of the shows. So what I decided to do was do a blue show and allow myself the freedom of bringing in as much blue as I wanted. So there's a number of artists in the show, all using blue in different ways, different styles, different mediums, but the common theme throughout is that they're using blue, whether it's a lot of blue in the piece or just a little bit, but your eyes should be drawn to that blue in the work. So I'm going to give you a quick little tour of the gallery, and then I'm going to present each piece that's in the show. There are works here in the gallery, and then there are additional works on Artsy. All of the works in the show in the gallery are on Artsy as well. So I encourage you to, you know, spend a little time. It's artsy.net/emerge-gallery-ny. So let's start with this really wonderful piece in the window. This is by Gray Ivor Morris. It is an alcohol ink on glass. Let me see if I can get a little closer. Gray is typically, I know him as, well, he does a lot of mixed media, but I know him as a mosaic artist. So this sort of is a natural progression for him. So this is the work that is featured in the window. It looks really wonderful with the sun coming through. At night, I've got a little spotlight behind it, so you know it really highlights outside too. So I'm just going to give you a quick little tour of how the show is set up. Usually, each piece there's some kind of connecting piece. Connecting feature that goes with the next piece. Like you'll see a lot of circular movements here. So this is what we have on the wall. And we'll be talking about each piece. Let's see. It's a small space. And as I said, I received a lot of work for this show, and I decided to extend it onto Artsy. We've got some sculptural pieces as well. I try to bring in all different styles and mediums, but it's important to me that the work really presents itself nicely and that each piece connects to the next. And as you're going through the show, it should take you on a little bit of a journey. So that's my goal, and I hope it works. All right. So that's a quick little tour of what's on the walls in the gallery. So let's start looking at each piece. We're going to do this alphabetically. So please bear with me as we get going. Okay, let me share this screen with you. Great. So this is the Artsy page that we have on of Emerge Gallery. You'll see the current shows, which right now is Something Blue. And then you will see additional shows as well. These are all current shows and archived shows. So you'll be able to not just see the show that's on the walls today, but you'll be able to see the show that was on the wall last year and the year before. So please have a look at that. There's some really, really wonderful work. Most of the work is still available. I have some really great relationships with local artists. There's a lot of talent in this community, and I'm so pleased to be exhibiting it here at the gallery. Okay, our first piece is by Gary Abramson. It's called Bluity. It's gouache 6x4. And Gary, I think you're going to be here. Are you here? Let's see. Do I see you? Are you here, Gary? Do a little wave if you are. Nope, I don't see you. Okay. Okay, so this piece is by Gary Abramson. It's a small piece, but really, really effective. It's a really wonderful piece. It was created in 2021. It's brand new. Our next piece is by Luis Alves. Luis is an artist in West Orange, New Jersey, and he does pretty much all hand-cut traditional collage. He uses a lot of pop culture references in his work. So this one is called Clorox. Laura Avello, this is called Conference 2. It's a monoprint. It's 5x7. Laura lives in Catskill, New York. And then we have a second piece by Laura, which is, it's a watercolor. It's Hudson 2020, and it's 5x7. Our next piece is a acrylic piece, 16x20. It's called Exoplanets 3 by Bruce Bernard. And Bruce lives in Brewster, New York. We have two pieces by Lowell Barr. This one is called Lonely Lemon. This is 5x7. Lowell's I've had a lot of work in my shows of Lowell's. Lowell lives here in Saugerties. She's a dream to work with. Her work is always wonderful. And I'm really glad to see that she's been going back to oil painting. So this is a small oil piece. This is a piece called Mother from 2012. It's another small piece, oil on canvas. She did give me a little information, a little something to read about this piece. A long time ago, I was working on a triptych, 3 phases of womanhood, the virgin, the mother, and the crone. The crone and virgin are finished, but the mother just wasn't working. So I peeled the face off and made a separate piece, this one. I liked the way the damaged paint looked, so I left it like that. That's very Lowell Barr. Harriet Foreman Barrett. This is oil on canvas 18x18. Harriet, are you here? No? No, Harriet? Okay. All right. Sarah Bertolotta. These are 2 pieces. This is called Plume 1. And the second piece is Plume 2. And I believe Sarah's joining us today. Sarah, are you here? No? Okay. Sarah lives in Hudson, New York. And these are both porcelain. Allison Bilolen. Allison lives in Mamaroneck. And Allison, are you here?
I am here.
Great. Give me a little wave so I see you. Great. Excellent. Okay. So please tell us about this piece here.
Sure. So this artwork was made in the spring of last year, and it is most definitely created as a response to the COVID pandemic, but more importantly, an escape from the COVID pandemic. I found myself, using creating art as a way to relax and escape all the anxiety and uncertainty of the pandemic. So this is actually part of a larger body of work that I ended up thinking of as emotional landscapes. And they are the beginning of me starting to explore relationships between the body, emotions, and the environment. And this one in particular I know it was made at nighttime because the moon played such a big part. And it was, for me, it's definitely a place I would like to have escaped to.
Are you, your use of blue is really wonderful here. Tell me about your feelings about blue. You use a lot of blue in your work? Because there's other pieces that I've exhibited of yours before, and you've used many different colors, but this just works so well.
Thank you. Blue, cool colors are definitely the colors that I am drawn to most often. If I were just to be let loose in my studio, I would most likely begin with cool colors. Mm-hmm. I find them just relaxing and calming. And of course, the relationship to water. I grew up on Long Island. And my mother was a beach bum. So, water plays a significant part in my life, which I think is part of the reason why I'm drawn to blue.
Mm-hmm. Are you a water sign?
I'm a Scorpio. I have to confess, I don't know enough to tell you if it's a water sign.
I just felt like I should ask that. They're wonderful. I love this piece.
Thank you.
It's really wonderful, and it arrived. So
yes, I see.
yes, it's right behind me.
Yeah, it's right behind you.
Yes. And Allison has some other works online as well. So please have a look. I think you've been in a few of the shows.
This is my second one with you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Good to see you. And
yes, thank you so much.
All right. Next, we're going to move on to Randy Bloom. Randy splits her time between New York City and the Hudson Valley. Randy, did you want to say a little something about your work, or you want me to go ahead and say something? You're on mute. All right. This is a smaller piece by Randy. I'm usually, this is, I think, 8 by 10, or I'm sorry. I should have this information here. I'm so sorry about that.
I think it's 14 by 14. Can you hear me?
Yes, 14 by 14. Yes, there you go. Oh, here's the view I was looking for. Yes, great. So, this is a perfect example of Randy's paintings. I'm so drawn to them. She's got a very, almost a minimal abstract way of using work, and her combinations of colors are just beautiful. I've had a number of pieces of Randy's in shows before. This I just thought was just such a crisp and clean piece. The use of colors, even though it's not all blue, your eye is really drawn to that, to the multi-use of blue. It's not just one shade or one color. But it's I'm really pleased to have it, and I'm always pleased to have Randy's work at the gallery. There's a number of other pieces of Randy's on the Artsy site as well. So please have a look there. Randy, did you want to say anything?
Well, thank you, Robert, and thank you for having me in the show. And I enjoy the working with blue quite a bit. I'm a colorist.
Yeah.
And this layout just seemed to be a nice fit. It was an excuse to use 5 colors, or really only 4 colors. There's about 20 shades of blue in there. So thank you for the opportunity to show the work.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And there will be more. Thanks, Randy.
Great.
The next piece, this is
nice
by Leslie Bodsey. Leslie is an artist that splits her time between both New York City and Houston. She's been using acrylics to create these wall hangings. I'm going to, hold on, no, there we go. All right. So you'll see up top here, it's pinned in two different corners, and you can sort of move them around and to create many different configurations. It's poured acrylic. It's very flexible. And actually, I wanted to, here, I'll bring it here so you can see it a little more up close. So I draped it a little more and created a lot more folds just by changing these two little tacks that are there. I have a number of Leslie's work online. I have a solo show of Leslie's on Artsy. Leslie really experiments with draping, with acrylics, different materials. Going to be exhibiting some more of her work in the very near future. And her work has been very popular with interior designers. Here's another of the acrylic wall drapes. So these are Leslie Bodsey. I encourage you to spend a little time looking at her work. They're really, really beautiful. Natali Bravo-Barbee. And Natali, I think you're here. I saw you come in. Let's see. Is that you smiling there?
Yes.
Okay, great. I love, these are wonderful. The response has been really fantastic for both of them. So please tell us about their cyanotypes. So yeah, tell us about both of them. So this is number one. Mm-hmm. And then the second is here, Girls Wear Blue, number 2 from 2020.
Yes, so thank you for having me and for showing these prints. So I make these prints using the objects as negatives. They are considered photographic prints. So I like to find objects that call out to me and play with my memory of childhood. And so I created these prints using these 2 particular dresses. And actually a little bit of a backstory on the other dress is I was experimenting with the wet cyanotype process after I usually make 2 prints of everything, and then I move on and change things. And so I made 2 prints of this one, and then I went on to experiment using this dress and the wet cyanotype process, and that actually altered the dress. So I won't be making any more of these prints. Oh. And like I said, I only made 2 of them. One of them already lives in a private collection, so this is the only one that's left of this one. It's pretty, I love this print. It's gorgeous.
It's beautiful. Yeah, and in person, it's really, really stunning. Tell us a little about the dresses. Were they belong in your collection, or are they from when you were a child, or thrift stores, or yeah?
So these dresses. So there was in 2015, I made a print of the dress that I used I'm from Argentina, and I used a particular dress to the day that we immigrated. And so I began making prints using that dress. And then that inspired me to look further for more dresses in that same style. But I always like to think that the person that makes the work is actually the little Natali that lives inside of me. So I kind of reference her thoughts for a lot of my work. And I thought, well, what would little Natali wear, and what calls to her? And that's how I picked these dresses. I do select them from vintage stores, mm-hmm. or online on eBay. But it has to call to me the moment I see it. If not, it's not for me.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, they're beautiful. Thank you. I'm really pleased to have them. And let's talk about your other cyanotype project. Yeah, Natali does. Is this your main medium? Are cyanotypes, or?
Yes. Well, I'm a photographer, but for the last 5+ years, I've been working strictly in cyanotypes. I did make a digital project during the pandemic, but as you can see right behind me, these flowers on the wall, they're all cyanotypes, and they're all handcrafted paper flowers that I've hand printed and craft each one. And so I've been working on this project for 2 years, and it's going to be 327 flowers. I'm almost at the end of it, but I'm so happy to say that you were the first one to show the prototype flower. So
Great.
Thank you.
Right. And I still remember it, and I would love to do something with the rest of them. So let's certainly be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Really worthwhile project. Well, great to see you again, and thank you so much for including these in the show.
Thank you for having me.
Got it. Our next artist is Thomas Brisson. Thomas lives in, hold on one second. Where is Thomas? Oh, Cohees, New York. This is called Progressions in a Negative Landscape. It is mixed media, and it's about 16 by 20. Susan Burlew. Susan, I think you're here. Let's see. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
You are. Okay.
Yeah.
Do a little wave for me.
What was that?
Oh, I see you. Okay, great. All right, welcome. So yeah, Susan, this is stunning. Really gorgeous. So many compliments on this piece. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's one of the type of, I do a variety of kinds of pieces, some more three-dimensional sculptural and some more simpler like this, almost two-dimensional on the borderline. I kind of refer to these as shards. So that's, what this is it's a shard in a sense. And that's a piece that I do. The process is to start with a slab, to tear it, break it, have different textures on parts of it, and then look at them and reassemble in some way. This one's more literal than some, where it's been mended, literally with some small pieces to bring the two pieces together. And it's all about, for me, healing and growing and learning from, taking from what was broken or you consider was broken or not perfect, and trying to look at it and reinterpret it and find what is beautiful about it, and then emphasize that and create something that you can then live with, that you can bring with you, forward into your life, something that you thought maybe you wanted to leave behind, but now you think, no, this is worthwhile and I've gotten good things out of this. It's kind of where they come from for me.
Yeah, it's really gorgeous, and I would love to, as I think we spoke about it before, would love to bring in some more of your work, and
I'd love that.
Really stunning.
Yeah, I would love to do that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay, great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I have two pieces by Nancy Campbell. This is called Corner of Washington Street and First. This is right here in Saugerties. A lot of times you don't necessarily think of blue when you think of snow, but there's definitely a blue hue typically to snow, and I think Nancy captures it really beautiful here in both of these. This is the second one, called Washington Avenue. This is oil on panel, 18 by 24. Nancy lives here in Saugerties. Virginia Casper. This is a collage called They're Seen From Here. It's a mixed media collage. Virginia lives in West Shokan. Virginia, are you here? No, I don't see you. Okay. So this is the first piece, and then this is the second piece, called The In-Between Space. This is collage in acrylic. It's Virginia Casper. Nancy Cantandela, this is called Movingly. It's a photo encaustic, and the texture and dimensions on these is just really beautiful. Nancy lives in Kingston, New York. The next artist is Lara Caveney. This is called Hoot Owl. I've been following Larry on Instagram. Larry lives in Tubac, Arizona. I believe, is that what it is? I'm sorry. This is a piece that Tubac, Arizona. This is a piece that I just was so drawn to. I had a piece of Larry's in the Red Show. It was a really fantastic rabbit. He's just got a real clever way of sort of turning the ordinary into something a little extra. Shelley Davis. Shelley lives in Malden by the Hudson, which is a little hamlet here in Saugerties. This is an acrylic piece called Thunderstorm. If you know Shelley Davis's work, I was surprised that this was Shelley's piece. She doesn't really do much abstract in this kind of way, but I liked it a lot. And Shelley's a very prolific artist. She does, quite a bit of work. She's always challenged with the themes that I have. This is another piece called Orb. Nancy deFlon. Nancy is a photographer here in Saugerties. This is called Blue Paradise. Nancy, are you here? I don't think I saw you.
Yeah, I am.
You are.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Oh, I see you. All right,
Okay.
great. Let me find you, and then you can take it away and
Okay.
tell us about the pieces. So you have two pieces here. You have this one here, which is called Blue Paradise.
Blue Paradise.
And this one is called Unconquered.
Yep.
All right, great. Which one do you want to start with?
The other one, the other one's in my head because
You got it.
that's the one that's actually in the gallery. It's called Blue Paradise for two reasons. Number one, it actually is, for me, it's a paradise. It's my favorite place on Earth. Right there, there are rocks on one side of it, and behind me there are rocks as well. And there's this water which can look like this, or it can be very, very rough indeed. And then you have a lot of surfers there. What happened, I started out, I wanted to make a vertical where there would be the sky would have these layers of colors and all that, and it looked like I got it. And of course, then I wanted the water to be very silky looking. It looked okay. Got it home. Realized a lot of the top layer was just kind of not exactly glaring white, but it was much too distracting, and so it ended up being virtually a square picture. Anyway, and that's what you have here. The other reason is it's called Paradise Valley, that area. It's 1 square mile of Middletown, Rhode Island. It's full of history and culture. I've probably said this a million times, but I just love going there. This one here is called Unconquered. I think I'd submitted it for a show before, and I gave it a different name, and I just wanted to give it change the name, but I wanted the name to draw attention to the lighthouse in the background, which is Sakonnet Lighthouse, which is a lot farther away than it looks actually, but you use a telephoto lens and you can see it. And also, the fact that this lighthouse there's all of this it's being battered like that, and it's still standing. And when I was working on this picture, I had my radio on. I had WMHT, which is a classical radio station, and he had just finished playing a piece by my favorite contemporary orchestral composer, Michael Torkey, and the piece of music was called Unconquered. And I said, "There's my title for the picture."
Beautiful. And did you do a little bit of digital work on these?
Yes, yeah. This one definitely, because I wanted to make it look like a painting. I think also for this version, because it was a blue show, I highlighted a lot of the blue more. I think the original has probably a little bit more green in it, but I wanted to make it look painterly.
They're beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, Nancy. Okay, next we have Tasha Depp. Tasha, welcome. I think you're on mute. Tasha, are you here? Okay. If you do, I see you here, but I see you, I'm not hearing you. Oh, here you go. Nope. Okay. So this is Tasha Depp. This is called Sweetheart, and it's basically vinyl.
Sure.
You are.
Am I here now?
I can.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, tell us.
Sorry, I'm in transit and I got on the wrong channel for a minute there.
That's okay. Welcome.
What should I tell you about this blue item? Let's see. I was very much involved with how the sweet potato, which came out of my garden in the late summer, was so opposite. I think I wanted to paint a picture of it. It was so organic and crazy, and it looked like a heart, kind of. You know, it came out of the dirt like that.
Yeah.
And then I keep a lot of beautiful pieces of trash in my studio, and that was one of them, that blue vinyl thing. And I just kind of knew they belonged together because the blue vinyl, both color-wise and material-wise, was so opposite the heart, the sweet potato. And I felt that, it would be a wonderful contrasting background, essentially.
Do you use mostly repurposed materials in your work?
I do use a lot of, once in a while I paint a rather traditional painting on canvas or linen and stretchers and the whole 9 yards. But more and more, I think because I'm so tuned into just how we have way too much stuff on this earth, we just can't contain it all, and we just don't need to make any more. So I try to repurpose existing surfaces mostly now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very effective.
Thank you.
It's really...
Yeah, and I love that the repurposed surface, because it's like a crucial painting element. It's like a whole thing you start with, and then you paint on that, and you already are working with something that's your. It's not just a background; it's an element, and you're painting on that. So it's really exciting to work on surfaces.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I was really pleased to when this came in. I was really pleased to see it, especially in person.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks for doing this. It's really interesting. I'm listening to everybody. Thanks.
Oh, I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, Dawn DiCicco.
Hi, Robert.
I see you. Where are you? I heard you. Here you are. Hi, Dawn. Good to see you.
Hi.
Welcome.
How are you?
I've known Dawn since I used to run a gallery in Red Bank, and I've known Dawn since then, and I've always been a fan of her work. And I've exhibited a number of Dawn's pieces at my own gallery. This one is called Rumble, and then there's a second one called Icebreaker. So welcome, Dawn. Tell us a little bit about these pieces, your connection with blue, whatever.
Well, I mean, blue's my favorite color, but first of all, I'd like to say how interesting everybody's comments have been about their work. I always feel a little intimidated because I don't really have a lot to say about my work. It's other than it's intuitive, and it's almost always a surprise as to what the end result is. This one doesn't have any collage on it, and I've been using collage a lot lately, but this one was just kind of an experiment and a mistake, and I just, it got to one point and I said, I think this is done. And that's about it. There's not a whole lot to say about it. I titled it Rumble because it reminded me of, a coastal storm coming in, and I think there was a storm brewing at the time, so maybe it was a subconscious thing. I don't know.
Beautiful. I know you when we've talked before, you use you're always playing music. A lot of times you play music.
Yes.
Any idea what music helped you create this?
I don't remember what I was listening to at the time. A lot of times I'll title something after a verse in the song or a few words or sentences from the song, but I don't really recall what I was listening to at the time.
I was just out of curiosity. I really like that connection between art and music and how one forms the other.
It usually kind of guides me along.
Yeah. Well, great. I'm really pleased to have these in the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. I'm always pleased. So Dawn DiCicco, and did I mispronounce your name?
No, that's right. That's correct, actually.
Because actually there's a poet that has the same in town that has the same spelling as your last name, but it's pronounced differently. And I always
Well, I guess the Italian way would be DiCicco.
DiCicco, that's how she
Yeah, but it's kind of been Americanized.
That's okay.
The pronunciation anyway.
All right, great. Well, thanks so much. Good to see you, Dawn.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Kelly Edwards, this piece sold.
Oh, excellent.
Yes, I didn't. I didn't get in touch with you. Are you can hear Kelly?
I am. I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm just trying to find you. Oh, I see you. Yep. Okay.
I wasn't supposed to be here, but
yes, it sold Friday, I believe.
oh, wonderful.
Through Artsy. Yeah, someone on Artsy. So
Oh, excellent.
yeah. So welcome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
There's another piece also by Kelly. So yeah, tell us about these pieces. There is something from this, another one from this series that was in the Yarn Show that sold as well. So people are really connecting with your whole use of watercolor and the tree element. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is how I picture it happening. I mean, I know there's science to how trees breathe and like, and I've listened to books about the communication between trees and how they communicate through their roots and the leaves, and they'll communicate with one another about, if this tree's being attacked by bugs, then they'll actually communicate to each other so that other trees will release things out to, keep those bugs from attacking other trees. And I just found all of that so interesting. And when the wind blows, that's just how I see the trees. I just think that's how it is. And, depending on the day and the color, I changed the color based on that. But I've had a lot of fun playing with the color. I was doing very monochromatic for a while, and now I'm really getting into the color and loving the balance of that. So nice. I'm glad everybody likes those.
And then this is something very different from.
Yeah, that's different than what I've been doing. I'm going in this direction a lot more lately, but I do a lot of line art and other pieces, and it's that whole connective tissue, how everything is just connected. And this just kind of came to me when I was outside trying to weed a little bit between all the gravel beds and seeing the weeds kind of the way that they would group over the little rocks between. And that's just kind of what came out from that, all those little weeds. Those lines are actually metallic and have a sheen to them in person. So the effect is so much more noticeable in person, but yeah, they have a little shine to them. So the light catches them, and it's interesting. Yeah. Nice. I do a lot of the line work with in flowers and such, where it looks like you can see the veins through the petals and such. So.
Well, it's wonderful.
Thanks.
And congratulations again. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Good to see you. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
All right. Take care.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Kelly. This is from a series by Chad Ferber. It's called Mask Mandate. This is number 22, and then we have number 25. And I wanted to read you just a little bit about what Chad says about this series. He's been using his masked face to make works on paper during the whole pandemic. He applies a marking medium to the mask, puts the mask on, and then uses his masked face to create the image. I think it really speaks to the time that we're in right now, with everyone having to do the same thing. So it spoke to me. I thought it was very timely. And in person, it looks really, really fantastic. So that is. Got Raiden Frost. I'm pronouncing that right. This is a piece called Network. It's brand new from 2021. It's about 12 by 12, and it's acrylic on canvas. This is Winter by Lynn Friedman. It's 12 by 12. This is watercolor as well. Lynn lives in Kingston. Raiden lives in Kingston as well. And Andrea Geller. Andrea's here to join us. I just want to show you a little bit about Andrea's work. She has a few pieces in the show. This one is called Blue Water. This one is Refreshing Water. It's a smaller piece, 8x8. Andrea has is really connected with water. I mean, we're talking about water before, but Andrea is very connected with water, and she has a number of different series. So I'm going to shut up and let Andrea talk about her work. I just wanted to point these out. This is from a series that I really like. It's the bathing series, the bath series, and it's different progressions into the different steps of bathing. So you've got a preparation, you've got getting into the bath. I chose 4 to represent the series, and then you also get getting out of the bath is the last one. There is you can see all of the pieces from the series on Artsy. It's, as I said, it's part of the bath series. The work is all still available. So take it away, Andrea. I'm talking to you.
Thank you so much, Robert, for having us again for one of these talks. They're fabulous. Mm-hmm. And I love the Something Blue show. I mean, just, knowing it's coming makes me happy. So I think blue has a big part in why I'm connected to water. And it did stem from my childhood of being in water throughout the summer. And anytime we were able to find a pool, we were able to do it. And it happened after the end of the long day of sightseeing. So it was always this like refreshing experience. But over time, I realized it's more than that. I mean, there's not a time I go into the water that I'm not studying how the figure kind of goes in and out of the space through the water and how the light affects the color as well. These 2 paintings do not have the figure. So that's a difference, a different approach. And I think what happened was I was, at the pool during the summer. When Robert first asked me, did the pandemic have an impact? I actually didn't realize how much of an impact it must have had, because there was nobody at the pool. I mean, the people were spread apart. And so I was able to just concentrate on the structure. And I also realized at this time that it was the structure of the pool that kind of, I guess you might say, it's interesting how the energy of the water was contained in the geometric architectural structure of the pool. And so, you wonder where you're going to go after you study something like water, and I'm not having any problems.
There are some larger works as well, and some additional works from this series, and Andrea continues to create more. So hopefully we'll have some more at the gallery. Tell us about the bath series a little bit.
Yeah, the bath series was actually, it was the first time I thought of a container for the figure in water. And simply put, I would say it's more conceptual and more abstract because the water is just represented through solid blues. Mm-hmm. But those blues are layered. So the first blue is like an ultramarine blue. The second blue is a viridian green, actually. And the third is a cerulean blue. And it was a different process altogether because I started to work with the idea of monoprints, and I would put a layer of paint down and then take a cloth and wipe out the figure and then put the next layer on and wipe out another figure. So when you see these up close, they look different than they do digitally, because you'll actually can see remnants of the earlier figures. And so this also is connected to my love of motion and time.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's a really stunning series. Please have a look at it. It is on the Artsy site, artsy.net. And there's 36 in the series, is that right?
Well, there's 28 that look like this. So there's definitely a series that over time I've worked with about 3 models, including my mom, who got the whole thing going. But then I do have alternate pieces that like are adjacent in terms of size and, materials. I really appreciate it, Robert. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. And coming up soon, you'll see a whole new, another series from Andrea on maps, where she uses the surface of maps to, as a base, and sort of creates figures sort of based on the location almost.
Yeah, right. It's connected, but it's definitely different because it doesn't rely on blue.
Right, or water.
Or water,
yes.
exactly.
Yeah, if you like water, Andrea's the one. So please have a look on Artsy. There's a number of even her Lost series, the Ocean series, really stunning work. So thank you, Andrea.
And thank you.
I'll see you soon.
Yes, very much.
Steve.
I'm here.
Steve Gentile. Is it Gentile or Gentili?
Gentili.
It is Gentili. Okay. So I've been pronouncing it wrong all this time.
It's okay. Just as long as it's not Gentile, I'm okay.
Okay. Oh, here you are. I see it. Okay. Let's pull you up. I think I saw this on Facebook the first time, and it was just beautiful. It is called Kitchen Window Frost, and it is photography. So tell us about this, Steve.
Sure. It's original photography. The only adjustments to it are size and cropping slightly.
Mm-hmm.
If you look carefully at, I'm not sure if it's this one, but on others, you can actually see some of the summer bugs that have been caught between the windows and are frozen in place. So it's kind of a prehistoric type thing in that sense. For me, I live in both the pleasure and the curse of living on the mountain in Saugerties, in a 100-year-old cottage with old windows. And I say blessing and curse because in the winter, like this past winter, it gets very cold. Even with the best of insulation on the windows and the walls, etc., the wind blows a certain direction and it just sucks all the heat out of the place. The end result of that is this, and also the bedroom window series, which has a different blue connotation, more emotional blue, as you know, Robert, in my life. This movement from the bedroom window down to the kitchen window was a big one psychologically for me to do. And it's just, to me, every winter provides a different, the way that the frost takes shape, when it melts off, you'd think that it'd come back in a different shape and a different configuration, but in the same window, it will always come back to, until I clean it, this or some semblance of this iteration. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of wild that way, where it can disappear and then you think it's gone and it's gone forever, but then the next time it gets very cold outside, matched with the heat of the inside, you get this again, and it's just the magic that happens. So that's, like I say, it's the blessing and the curse of it.
And the piece is, I mean, it deserves to be seen in person. You did a fantastic job on the frame, and then also the printing is on a really gorgeous textured paper, which
Thank you.
Really brings out a lot more of the texture in this piece.
Thank you. Yeah, I should mention that that one is in the gallery. It's smaller.
Yeah.
Of the size. It's panoramically, the aspect ratio is 9:16, and in the gallery, it's half of both of those dimensions. So it's 1/4 of the full size that I would imagine I could print to. If somebody wants the larger size, it's spectacular at the large size. But I there are lots of pieces in the show, so I toned it down so that, we could get more pieces on the wall, which I think is important too.
And then you have the second piece here as well.
Right. That's the other detriment of living in an old house is you get these roof dams or I forget what they call, ice jams, I guess, on the roof. That this is the result of the snow melting off the roof and then freezing up at night and then melting and then freezing and melting and freezing. So this is a big ton of ice. In reality, it's probably about, I think about 5 inches wide at the left-hand side or so, and probably about 8 inches long. And every winter, I just wait for these things to kind of completely melt off and spear off the roof,
Yeah.
making this catastrophic noise and scaring everybody. But I'm very glad when they finally fall, because I don't have to worry about walking underneath there and getting impaled by this huge thing. And it's against the sky, so it's beneath it looking up to orient you. And this too has got, the only adjustments are not to color, but to cropping and to the size. I think was originally panoramic, so it's just tightening up that the extra stuff that's around it.
Great use of the blue. Got a little realism here, and then a bit of an abstract nature with the second one. Really good to have you back, Steve.
Cool. Good to be back.
Parisi, yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to point out, it was just snowing here in Saugerties a few seconds ago. I'm baffled.
Well, we got a blizzard up here, Robert. Well, you were getting just snow. I'm looking out the window. If you noticed while I was talking, looking out, and I'm looking, saying, "Where is all this white stuff still coming from? Didn't we run out?"
It was over.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, next we have Patty Gibbons. Patty lives in Kingston, is known to many, many people, I'm sure, in the area. Love Patty's work. This piece is 20 by 20. It's called The Blue Wave, and it is acrylic. Mary Ann Glass, this is called Meditating. It's a photograph where she's using some different layering on it. Mary lives in Wappingers Falls. Mary Ann lives in Wappingers Falls. This is a piece by Maddie Goldman. She has a whole series where she uses different collage elements to create sort of different characters and different faces. This is called Mr. Blue, and Maddie lives in Boyceville, New York. We have two pieces by Russell Gordon. This is called La Onda. This is a photograph. And then the second piece is a photograph as well. This is called Carnage from 2019. And Russell lives in Highmount. Catherine, I saw you come on in. I saw you come in. Let's see if you're here. No? Oh, here you are. Catherine, did you want to speak a little bit about your piece? Well, Catherine had provided me with some information. This is called Florida Esqualamada, delighted my eyes with colors, oranges, yellows, and many shades of turquoise. The shadow pattern on this bright blue wall caught my attention and beckoned me to record it. I paint mainly in watercolor and gouache. Plein air painting is exciting, but I love making time to carefully compose a design in a studio painting, as with this painting. I usually focus on only a part of the whole object, thereby painting things, not scenes. Shadow patterns are important to me. I have earned memberships in many art organizations, National Association of Women Artists, the American Artists Professional League, the East End Watercolor Society, and locally at the Woodstock Artists Association and Museum. I'm really pleased to have Catherine's work here, and I hope you're doing okay, Catherine. Josepha Cotelius, there's two pieces from Josepha. Josepha lives here in Saugerties. This is part of her series called Inhabiting the Earth, and this is Cinco de Mayo. It's acrylic on canvas. And then this second piece is called Hamlet. This is 20 by 16. Tom Hackett, Bluestone. Bluestone is the stone of the area. So yeah, welcome back, Tom.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for including me in the show.
Absolutely.
As you said, this is Bluestone, and Ulster County played a tremendous role in the mining or quarrying and distribution of bluestone throughout at least the East Coast, and probably wider than that. One of the things about bluestone, at least the sidewalks here in Kingston, is that I think most people, when they see them, probably don't pay much attention to them. They don't even look blue, they look gray. But I've taken photographs of many slabs. It's an ongoing series. And in each case, I have significantly modified them by bringing out the incipient color in them. Every case, I've simply enhanced the colors that are already there. In other words, how they differ from flat gray or even blue. But I don't color them myself. I just allow the colors in the original photograph to come out more vividly. And I suppose that if I didn't tell you it was bluestone, you might not know that. It's quite abstract. But in addition to the colors, there are also interesting shapes that, again, unless it's pointed out to you or highlighted in the photograph, you wouldn't realize.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of, Saugerties, we've got bluestone sidewalks, but I think, when you, with so much use, it sort of loses the whole vibrancy of the color. And I think you really, you pulled it out really nicely here.
Thank you.
I wish the sidewalks were like this around here. Thank you so much, Tom. Good to see you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Two pieces from Melissa Harris. This is called Warm Winds. It's watercolor. Melissa lives in West Hurley, New York. And the second piece is really stunning. It's a watercolor as well, 18 by 24, and it's called Waterfall. This is a piece by Allie Herman called Into the Blue. It's acrylic and ink and graphite. Allie had given me something to read about the piece, so I'm going to do that. My work is best described as networks of single cells drifting amidst fluid abstract backgrounds, representing both macrocosmic worlds. Within my work, I use SEM images and as inspiration to explore concepts of blood cells, cytoplasms, and unicellular structures. A change at one point in one molecule even may reverberate throughout the entire system to initiate changes. I attempt to show that everything develops on a cellular level from a single cell, like the seed of an idea. Circles, ovals, and tortules forms represent the basic structure within my works. Influenced by color, light, pattern, and repetition, my art attempts to understand and interpret rhythmic orders on micro and macro levels. My desire is driven to understand how individual elements and pieces function individually while also working together to create whole systemic microcosms. Blue is a color I often associate with and gravitate towards in life. It is my aura color and state of mind. Using cells as a source of inspiration, I develop my cell motifs from things in everyday life: mushroom caps, bacterial cells, botanical slices of shapes and images. Within the piece, Into the Blue, I specifically interpret the mushroom cap images with broken stem areas as nuclei, and with the gills as activated life force within the cell. Referencing the fungi Chlorocrobia, I blow up the microcosmic scale of this species to personify the effect of its natural green-blue staining properties, taking over the scribbly web of unknown in the background. This is part of a series, and there's a number of other pieces of Allie's on the website that are part of this series as well. I think there were a few in the Orange Show. So that's Allie Herman, and Allie lives in Lenox, Massachusetts. These are two beautiful photographs, landscapes, heavenly Coromandel, New Zealand, and I probably pronounced that terribly. Ruth lives here in Saugerties. This is a piece by Annette Jarrett. It's called Water Spout. And I mean, I know Annette's work, but I was really surprised when this came in. It's not very typical of her work, but I love it. Annette lives in Port Ewan. This is a piece by Deborah Sanchez. It's called Spirit Wolf. This is acrylic, I believe. and it's about 20 by 20. And then we have a piece by Jeanette Cahill called Hydra. This is oil on canvas. This one is 16 by 20, and Jeanette lives in West Shokan. All right. Give me 1 second. We need to move over to another page here. Okay. This is by Gabriella Kirby. It's called Pinch Point West. It's acrylic, charcoal, graphite, and pastel on raw canvas. And she lives in Westkill, New York.
Westkill.
And yes, there you go. Oh, I think I see you here. Okay. There you go. Great.
Hi.
Welcome, Gabriella. It's a stunning piece, really gorgeous.
Oh, thank you. Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm back on the East Coast. Last time we spoke, I was on the West Coast.
Yes, that's right.
West in the title of this piece.
Mm-hmm.
So I was thinking a lot about the pandemic when I was making this. We were sheltering in place. And I was thinking about how we internalize and process all of these compounding physical, mental, and emotional pressures. And the composition itself is funneling information, and it's also giving a sense of one's perspective in the world, feeling as if it's being turned inside out. I was also interested in exploring some non-traditional tools with this painting because I was thinking so much about work shifting in times of the pandemic and everything like that. And I was also, so while I did use some traditional painting tools, I was also utilizing things like masonry trowels and sewing thread. That became an interesting application for the paint. And then I also really quick want to touch on the raw canvas as an object in itself. I'm interested in working on, of course, primed gessoed canvases, but also this unprimed surface. It's actually become there's a really interesting contrast that happens with the way that they behave. So there's a particular vulnerability that this raw canvas has, and when left unprimed, it really can absorb and become so vulnerable to any exposure of media that you're applying to it. And it's so sensitive, it's soaking up like paint washes and marks and acting like a sponge. And that seemed to be the right material for this piece in talking about our exposure and our vulnerability with the pandemic. And I was thinking a lot about how the mind is absorbing and retaining information. And then at a certain point, when things become too heavy and too saturated, it's acting like a resist. So there was that interesting parallel with the materiality that I was playing with.
Let me ask you, do you, in working on raw canvas, do you lose any kind of control of the flow of the paint, or is it enhanced, or I would think there would be something a little different than working on primed canvas.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. So you can see a little bit of the white marks of the paint poking out from behind, see all that texture in there. So the paint sits very differently. It absorbs really quickly into the raw canvas. And then on top of that, like white strategic place gesso, you can manipulate it more. And that plays into, so I'm thinking about the soak stain techniques of Helen Frankenthaler, Morris Lewis. But it's interesting, there's such a vulnerability that comes with working on this raw canvas because you can't really cover anything up, and it forces you to stay very present and not looking at necessarily where the line is coming from, what you've just made, but look at where you're going. So that's one reason why I keep going back to this material.
It's really wonderful.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Gabriella, now that you're here, come on by. Westkill's not that far.
Oh, I know. I can't wait.
Yeah, good. It would be great to meet you in person.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
Our next piece is by Leslie Landau. This is called Wind's Whisper. It's oil on canvas, and Leslie lives in Connecticut. We're going into little purples here now. This is Hillary Lander. This is called Blue Blue, B-L-U-E, B-L-E-W. It is acrylic on canvas, and Hillary lives in Saugerties. Gretchen Langheld, who lives in Kingston. This is pastel, is it? I'm sorry. It's called Quandary. Apologies. Oh, it's oil. I'm sorry. So sorry. It's oil on paper. It sort of has a little pastel feel to it. Tracy Leavitt. This is 5 storms in 5 days on a winter beach. And Tracy, I did see you here. 5 smaller canvases.
I'm here somewhere.
Oh, I see you. Okay, great. Welcome, Tracy. How are you?
Hi, I'm great, Robert. It's good to see you.
Good to see you virtually. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see each individual piece.
Oh, good.
Please
Yeah.
tell us about them.
Well, these pieces are a reference to a vacation that I took with my husband quite a few years ago. From in the middle of winter here, and we thought, let's do it. Let's hit a beach. And it just so happened that week at that beach, this was in South Carolina, was absolutely freezing. So our disappointment was huge at first, but it turned out to be a really wonderful week that we spent playing games in the place we rented, and wrapping all up to go outside and see the beach, which was very desolate. The magnification of these is tough because it's pixelating, but the bottom half of them are encaustic. And when people have seen this piece, they think that it's snow I'm talking about, but it wasn't. It was just different manifestations of the sand and the sky. Is what
Here it's all encaustic. Is it encaustic?
The bottom is encaustic, yeah, and the top is oil and wax mixtures. And the colors live, the colors are pretty intricate in the sky, well, in sky and the sand both. And so it represents for me to keep your options open, not to decide on what kind of a experience you're going to have, but to have a new perspective and new things happen.
Well, it's wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tracy there's a number of works on the artsy site of Tracy's. Tracy uses encaustic really effectively quite often.
Thank you.
All right. Good to see you. Thank you, Tracy.
You too. See you soon.
Gay Leonhardt. This is watercolor. It's 6x9. Gay, are you here? I didn't see you coming. Thought you might be joining us though. I see Lowell. I feel like Miss Marianne. I see Lowell. I see Dorothea. I see Will. So this is the first piece. It's watercolor, 6x9. And then this is the second piece, also watercolor, called COVID Skies. Yvette Lewis, this is a monotype in pastel called Spring Pod. And I have a second piece as well from Yvette, another monotype called Three Sisters. This is sort of, it's got some blue grays in it. Blue is not the primary color in here, but my eye immediately goes to the sort of veins that are in the Three Sisters. And this is, Yvette lives here in Saugerties, and these are perfect examples of her work. Always a pleasure to have Yvette's work here. Cheryl Lacona, talk about blue. This is a digital collage mounted on canvas. It's called Big Fish. Cheryl has a lot of fun with combining different photographs or different elements of photography. And this one is a real doozy. Colleen Lineberry. Colleen, I think you're here. Yes, I see you. Welcome. This is a gorgeous piece. I like Colleen's work a lot. I've known Colleen again from when I ran a gallery in New Jersey in Red Bank. And Colleen, you do some really wonderful work with cold wax, which is always I've always been curious about cold wax. So please tell us about this piece and welcome.
Yeah. Thank you very much for doing this. I'm finding it so inspiring. Artists speak about them and to have you speak about them, it's really inspiring. You know,
oh, great. I love
nice. Thank you. Yeah. So this piece was made in reference to the number of months I had spent in Asheville, North Carolina, where in 2019, I was there for 5 months. It was right after I retired. And my brother lives down there, and we did a lot of hiking in the mountains where the Blue Ridge and the Appalachians and the Great Smokies come together. And I made this piece though afterwards as the pandemic was starting because I couldn't go back there for a while. So I kept remembering the way the blues and the layers of the blues at night, especially just before dusk, the mountains it really looks blue, and you see one behind the other and all of that. So that's where the piece started. But like all of my work, I'm often inspired by landscape and excited by the natural world. But once I start painting, then it could go in a whole other direction. So that's kind of what happened here. And I do enjoy the oil and cold wax mixture. I work on wood or panel because it holds all the layers and the texture. You can keep adding texture and scratching into it and things like that. So that's how this piece developed. That's it.
It's beautiful.
So,
really, really nice.
yeah, thank you.
You know, I mean, from the photograph, it looks like a larger piece, but it's fairly small.
Yeah, it's I think it's 9 by 12.
Yeah.
9 by 12. Yeah.
And it's
I don't use a brush. I use a squeegee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a squeegee and the oil and cold wax. And then sometimes I use graphite and, oil sticks and other medium, but it's mostly oil paint and cold wax medium.
You do encaustic at all, or you pretty much stick to cold wax?
I stick to the cold wax. I tried encaustic a couple of times in a workshop, and I didn't love the process as much as working with the oil and cold wax. So,
great.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you again. This is by Althea.
Yeah, good to see you.
This is acrylic paint and graphite on canvas, on watercolor paper. If I am presenting your work and you're here, please let me know. I'd be happy to give you some time. Now, Linda, I know Linda's here. I keep telling her how much I like this piece, and it's it's very different from what Linda does, and we've been actually spending a little time together looking at some of her works on paper for something that we're going to be doing together. But I really like her monotypes. Her monoprints. This is one of them, and then we have a second one. This is oil on canvas called June Morning, and this is sort of typical of Linda's work. What I know Linda's work about. I also wanted to point out that if you have a look at Linda's work, we've got a show called Sawkill: A Catskill Journey, Exploring a River Through Art, and it's a whole collection of her oil works. While exploring the Sawkill River. So Linda, please, I'm going to put myself on mute and answer this call, but please tell us about this work.
Okay, start here. Well, I tend to return to the same places for my landscape work. And this, somebody might guess, is basically the Catskill Falls. And it comes to the point where I've revisited a place so often, I can almost do it without having to think about it. And with the monotypes, which are really fun to do, it was a case of you do it very fast, you go through very quickly, and I had to do the Catskill Falls. How could you not do them? So that is really where that one is coming from. I've got many pictures of these waterfalls. Rocks and water and the interaction of rocks and water is something that really personally interests me. The other one, I don't know how we get to the other one, but the other thing that really interests me are skies and the color of sky and how sky changes by pure chance, like with this, with the monotype, I'm just playing around with color. And this is reminiscent of winter, although for some reason I keep thinking of this as spring because I've hiked these falls in the winter when everything is ice, which is quite an experience to do. Whereas the other painting, which is more typical of what I do, this is June morning, and it's a thorn preserve, which happens to be near where I live. So I've got quite a lot of work that comes from here. Different. The thing that just struck me again was the sky and that pure blue, that whole summer sky. It's that is one of the wonderful things about the Thorn Preserve, because we're in an area known for its mountains and its gorges and its rocks and its waterfalls. And here you have this area where it's not quite flat, but it's expansive. And you just, you open up to the sky like this. That was where I was coming from with this.
That blue is stunning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful.
So I think that, yeah,
They're gorgeous.
yeah, I don't know what else to say. The Thorn Preserve is
fine.
a great place if you want to
Good.
catch the sky.
So keep an eye out. We've got, there's quite a bit of work on Archie of Linda's work. Some gorgeous landscapes. So please have a look, and there'll be more to come. Thanks,
Yeah.
Linda.
Yeah. Right.
Marjorie Magid. Where are you, Marjorie? Let me put you up.
I'm here. You see me?
All right. Well, welcome. Why don't you tell a little bit about, this is called The Blue Below. It's acrylic on canvas, 24 by 24. And then Marjorie also, there's a real whimsy to Marjorie's work. I love Marjorie's work. I keep telling her this. I mean, and I keep saying this every time I present her work, it makes me smile when I see her work. There's quite a collection of Marjorie's work up on Artsy. She got a whole show called Whimsical, the Art Marjorie Magid. So please have a look on the Artsy site and spend a little time with her characters, which are certainly characters. Okay, so Marjorie, let's talk about the piece that you've got in this show, and welcome back.
A little different because there are no characters here. So.
Yes, I know. Yep.
Usually I do work from photos, and then of course things change because I'm not interested in making exact replicas. I work in acrylic and in oil, and but this one I think I wanted to do something blue. It was kind of with the blue show in mind, and I thought, okay, I'll do water and underwater and all these different, sea creatures. And so it didn't have a real visual reference point. And as I worked on it, and I worked on it over a period of time, a little each day, it kind of became more and more abstract. And I really got into the shapes, and I love color. I always work with a lot of color, not just blue, but reds and greens, yellows, everything. And the interaction of color is really what interests me. But I kind of like the way that came out, and I like the flow, and it just kind of built itself, and it got more and more movement and more depth. And I think it does look like water, but it's also at the same time a little bit more abstract. And
Well, you've been posting recently some of the work that you've been doing that's been, you know, really abstract based, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm
Really.
excited about you going in that direction.
Right, we'll see.
Yep, great.
Anyway,
Always a pleasure, Marjorie. Thank you. Dorothea, there you are. All right, Dorothea Marcus. Dorothea has a piece in the show which is called Red, but I immediately go right to the blues in here. She's got a really great way with mixing materials together for collage. A lot of now I know you've traveled quite a bit and sort of bring back papers, especially from Japan, from your travels, and incorporate those into your work. So tell us about Red. About this piece.
Well, Red is a collage I actually did a couple of years ago, and it doesn't. I don't think it has any photographs in it, which is unusual for my collages. It's all painted paper, and I think some cutout, you know, things of like postcards from other exhibits and stuff, you know, like on cardstock. Those of you who shop at places like Sunfrost will recognize the red netting. The red netting on the lower right is, I love being able to use that. That's a kind of little, you know, hat that you get if you buy a little container of strawberries or something. They put a little red net hat over it. So it was really fun to use materials like that that have different textures. And it is, I got a lot of satisfaction out of submitting a work called Red for a Blue show, but you know, I had named it Red already. And I have another collage called Blue, which you have also exhibited. So, titles are not my forte. So, but I do, I really like the, and this is one of those collages that it looks very different in different directions. You know, in the collage workshop that I took at the Woodstock School of Art, we would often turn things around and look at them, you know, horizontally, vertically, upside down. And it's often kind of, you know, a crapshoot which way you decide to display it, because it can be interesting in different directions. But I liked the kind of having that strong vertical shape, sort of torn vertical shape on the left. I really like, and I do love how the blues are highlighted here in this composition. So thank you.
Yeah, same here. Thank you. There's a collage show coming up in May.
Oh, great.
All right, thank you, Dorothea.
Thank you.
Next, we have two pieces by Laura Martinez-Bianco. Bianco, I'm sorry. Laura, are you here? Let's see.
There we go.
No?
Here. Hello.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Hi, Robert.
Oh, hi. There you are.
I'm here.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Both these pieces in the show are encaustics. I typically, for years, have worked as a plein air painter and working with pastels. And probably in the last 4 years, I started working with encaustics, and many times I work right over a pastel that I've done, or I use my pastels as my, you know, as a study for the encaustics, or just working from the memory of that experience. This particular one, Cold Places, was inspired by a collection of vintage stamps and, you know, postage stamps that I had been given by someone. And so I've been looking at these stamps and kind of imagine like where they had come from or where they had been and what stories they had. So that's what this painting is.
I wanted to just zoom in here a little bit, just to show you that it's got some really wonderful texture and some etching in the encaustic that works really well.
What I love about the encaustic is going in and making, you know, just the mark making you can make with it. It kind of similar when my pastels, I love, you know, mark making. So I think that's kind of similar between the two mediums.
I keep threatening to do an encaustic show. I think it's getting closer and closer. What about the second piece?
The second one is from a series I call Slivers. It's small, very small pieces of wood that I've just gathered, and that's what I use for the encaustics. So some of them are like 2 by 16. I think this particular one is like maybe 3 by 6. And they're just like slivers of memories. So I think of a particular place I had been and do a very spontaneous, quick painting of it on these small slivers of wood. So this was a view of the Hudson River. I live down in Marlborough in southern Ulster County. So I have the river as an inspiration. So
Beautiful.
it's a morning view.
Yeah, it's very inspiring up here.
Yeah, the whole Hudson Valley is a lovely place to be.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Good to see you, Laura.
Yes, you too.
Barbara Masterson, is Barbara here? This is The Hands That Feed Us, #1. It's from a whole series that she's been doing, oils that are focusing on hands. Barbara, I thought I saw you. Maybe I didn't. Okay, Barbara spends a lot of times doing portraits of field workers and different people that she runs across in the fields. Really gorgeous portraits, and now she's doing some small just sections of the hands that she's calling Hands That Feed Us. And they're really very effective. And the thing that I really like about this whole project is she really gets to know people before she starts doing a portrait of them. So this is Barbara Masterson. There's a number of works from both series on Artsy. John Midla. This is a fun little piece called Blue Bear, and I thought it fit perfectly in the show. I don't think John is here. No. 8 by 10. Wilma Miller, this is called Rugs for Sale. It's acrylic on canvas. Wilma's got a really wonderful abstract artist, but you can always, there's always a sort of a feeling or a sense of landscape in her work. This is a second piece as well called Main Island. It's 11 by 11. Michelle Moran, this is called Winter Paradise, oil on wood panel. I don't think Michelle is here. Michelle lives in Woodstock. Ann Morris, who also lives in Woodstock. This is called Bluebells. Anne always uses a number of materials. These are pieces that were punch outs from a game that I think she received as a gift from someone. So I really like when people repurpose different materials that you normally would throw away. Wendy Moss, this is called Union. It's a silk aquatint print. It's 8 by 10. Wendy, are you here? And you might be able to. You said you might join us, but I don't see you here. Okay. And then a second piece by Wendy. This one is called Rhythmic Fluctuations #3. And again, if you wanted to find out more information about the pieces, there is more information on the Artsy site. Since we have so much here, I really wanted to just really give the attention to the artists who are here to talk about their work, and you really don't want to hear me talk for 2 hours. So these two pieces are really charming. These are by Ingrid Neiter. They're mixed media, and Ingrid lives in Kingston. A lot of fun. Will Nixon, I know Will's here. There you are.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, Robert.
Welcome, welcome. So Will has two pieces. We've got this piece that is a little deceptive, but you tell me about it. And then this piece as well. So let's talk about the first one.
Yeah, I discovered at some point that I use an iPhone and I can take reflections off of the roof of my car or the hood of my car. And I've had a lot of fun doing that because it creates a little sort of surreal feeling to something. And so in this one, that's the bottom of this photograph is the hood of the car. And those are actually just treetops, but they kind of turned into islands, these strange looking islands by that roof effect. And this one, I realize I just keep taking pictures of toys, objects with faces.
There's a few, I have some of Will's matted prints of the toys. I think I really like the way, Will, that you use all these found objects and the plastic toys and put them in different environments that they normally wouldn't fit in. It's a great series, really good series.
Thanks.
And Will's a wonderful poet. So come April, there's going to be a number of his poetry collages in the gallery window.
I look forward to it.
I do too. Thanks so much.
I'm having a lot of fun doing this. The one thing I'll say is I have a friend of mine who says, you're a poet, you need to give titles to your artworks. And I keep refusing. Everything is untitled, but I've heard some interesting ideas today about how to come up with titles if I ever do.
Well, I hope so, because it would make my job a little easier. Everything that you send me is called Untitled 1, Untitled 2. So there are a number of untitled ones. So titles would help. But
I'll work on it.
Yep. All right, great. Thanks, Will.
Thanks.
Okay, we've got two pieces by Nancy O'Hara. This is a small piece called Blue Palette. It is 6 by 7. It's on wood panel, a little abstract piece. And Nancy's got a great use of color. This is a second one called Trio. This is Sumi acrylic and oil on paper. This is a small piece as well, 10 by 10. And Nancy lives in Germantown. Harold Olajars. Harold lives in New Jersey, Tenafly. This one is called Lake Minnewaska. And then the second one is called Adirondack Sky. Harold, I thought I saw you here. No? Okay. So these are one image, as you'll see here is the image, and then Harold digitally replicates them into a little bit of almost like a Michael I know is here. Hi, Michael. Michael Palladino. Michael, talk about encaustic. Michael does some really, really beautiful work with encaustic. Really pleased to have the Vortex, two of the Vortex pieces in the show. So yeah, Michael, tell us about the series and about these works.
Hi, can you hear me?
Good to see you.
Hi, well, thank you. Everybody's great to see everybody. I'm honored to be in such good company. I love hearing about everybody's process and what they do. These are just about, well, most of the work is nature-based, and I like things like fractals and reoccurring patterns and, you know, just stuff that happens in nature, but it seems to be involving more into like, so these kind of started out as shells, but then they became more involved in vortexes about like climate change. And when you see those aerial views over the sky, which are just fascinating to me, but like, you know, destructive, but awesome, but beautiful in nature. And so like if I'm doing bird nests, which was another theme that's interesting, but now I'm burning them because it's kind of about the wildfires and displacing animals and peoples out of their homes. And, you know, I'm doing beehives, which have always fascinated me, but now they're more about, you know, the death of the bees, that kind of thing. So anyway, I don't know, that seems to be where my path is going. And these there's over 50 of these. They were shown at the New York Public Library for their 100th year anniversary. They're based on an older series called Ether, which came from kind of smoke bombs that I made and photographed, and then I kind of evolved them into stuff from the sky. So anyway, thanks for having me. And,
absolutely.
it's good to be here.
I want to mention that they're photographs and they're digitally manipulated. No.
Yeah, they're photographs I took, and then they're kind of scanned and manipulated. And these were the bluest of what I did, but there's a lot of sky tones, acidy kind of storm cloud kind of colors.
And they're covered in layers of encaustic. I mean, you can't really see it in the photographs, but there's beautiful texture in the work, and they're on wood panels.
Thank
you so much, Michael. Good to see you.
Nice. Thank you, Robert.
Andrea Walcutt Perez, resident potter. Andrea, where are you?
Hi, Robert. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
This piece actually started about 3 years ago. I saw an image of a piece of china that they found in the wreckage from the bombs dropping in Japan. And on the outside, it was all the materials that were blasted onto the piece. And on the inside, it was perfectly smooth and beautiful. And the first piece I made from that image was this piece, which you see it has the same design with the roughness on the outside. And that happened about 3 years ago. Since then, I've made another, I think this is the 7th or 8th piece that have come from that series. With this piece, it's the first one that is non-functional. It's strictly for viewing. The other pieces you could use for food. I also decided to break outside the box of the circle. So I added wire and beads to the outside, adhered to the surface. And it was nice with that, but I wanted to go further and extend the visual frame of the piece. So I've used branches and bark before. So I decided to have the bottom was a flat wood, but I laminated the birch bark on top of that. And I really like the play of the bark, the color and texture with the rest of the piece. So I was very satisfied with that. I'd like to probably do some more renditions, but I was very pleased with this piece.
Yeah, I like this piece, and I like the idea that you've been really incorporating sort of your functional work into wall hangings. So I was really pleased to have this in the show. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Okay, this is Rondout Creek 2021 by Geraldine Popko. Geraldine lives in Kingston. This is on pins and needles. This is a monoprint by Eileen Power. I've had a number of Eileen's work in the shows as well. And here's Hula Cat. Stacey Pritchard. I've been watching Stacey create versions of this character for a while. I've known Stacey in New Jersey. So I was really pleased to see this one. I was watching her make it, created on social media, and it's wonderful. So yeah, tell us about it, Stacey.
Oh, I am so happy with her. This is, anybody that has followed my practice knows that I work in probably about 5 different series at a time. And the last couple of years, there have been a few series that have been really taking my time, but underneath there has been this series of these hybrid human animal characters that I've been working with. And this is actually the only version of Hula Cat so far. Some of these characters have had a few versions done. And the pandemic actually made ceramics even harder because I don't have my own kiln set up at home yet. So access to the studio and firing this piece was fired in the middle of the pandemic. I had to very strict guidelines to sign in. There were only a certain number of people allowed in the building and this and that and the other. And all this stuff just to fire a kiln load of work. But she came out and I'm so pleased with her, and I found out recently, I can't say 100% yet, but it appears that she is going to grace the cover of a book of poetry from a friend of mine.
Nice.
And I'm so pleased. And actually, the title could be the title of this piece, because I'm still kind of figuring out what this character is about. This series really, in my mind, I'm thinking a lot and I'm reading a lot of folklore, the Grimm brothers, and thinking about how in our past, how we incorporate these ideas and these amorphications of animals and seeking out their different qualities that we find in them and everything. Hula Cat's very curious. And to me, she's thinking about these circles that she's having right now with this hula hoop. And she's thinking about, how does this all work, you know? And that can go in so many different ways. But yeah, the title of the book that it is going to be released soon by my friend, poet friend Derek Pollard, by Barrow Street Press, is On the Verge of Something Bright and Good. And as I said, it could almost be a title for this piece. So I'm just so happy. He and I have actually collaborated on work before. And because I have an interest in a lot of my work, especially my two-dimensional work, I use a lot of text and words, and he has an interest as a poet in how the text and the word looks on the page. You can see I got an advanced copy of the book. So here is like one page. You can see part of the poetry. Here is another poem that he has. So he's a very visual poet.
It sort of gives that whole sense of a sort of hula hoop rounding around.
Yeah, and we've actually done several pieces of collaborations in the past and everything, and it's really wonderful. And I'm pleased to say that he gave me permission to share one of the poems from the books that hasn't been published yet. And I chose this one because I knew I was going to be on Zoom. And so instead of the visual, it's more about the sound for this poem. And it's one that, as I read through, it wasn't published. So I actually had to touch base with him this morning and say, can I share it? But it's one that, as I read through the pre-publication of the book, I just keep coming back to. And it's called The Archer and the Queen of Discs. He hums the heavens, the humming heavens, humming them up once and again. She is there to stay the humming what's him, and the hum that his, her. He hums the heaven. What humming heaven and the song of him goes the heaven of her. Heavens to hum. Once the humming is, done the heavens are. Her and him, the hum. And that's it.
I love the alliteration on all that.
Wasn't it beautiful? So I thought that one would be really good for the Zoom, but
perfect.
But
Thanks
yeah, Barrow Street Press.
To hear it, yeah.
Derek Pollard, something new and bright. I'm very excited.
Well, let us know what happens.
I will, and thank you for the opportunity to show her. She
Absolutely.
is in a grouping. It's developing work. She has about 6 or 7 friends.
Who I hope will be here soon.
Yes, I do.
Great. Thanks, Stacey.
Thank you.
This is a piece by, it's an oil on canvas, Maine Coast by Terry Priesner. I have two pieces here by Regina Quinn. We were talking about encaustic before. This is really beautiful. This is called Deep Winter. Of course, the photo doesn't do it justice, but there's some really, really wonderful things going on, some great texture. Regina really knows how to use encaustic the right way. So this is the first, and then this is on Lake Champlain. This is encaustic and oils as well. You can see some really great texture in there, some great, really nice layering. Elaine Ralston. Elaine, I saw you here. Is Ruby with you? Oh, here you are. You're on mute.
Okay.
All right, great. So this is beautiful. It's very calming.
Oh, yeah, this was sort of an imagination piece. When I think of blue, the first thing that comes to my mind is that blue sky you always see. And being a water lover, the way the sky reflects into the water. So this is a place where I would like to be. And so that's what I created for the show.
This is pastel, right?
Yeah, it's a pastel. Yeah, and I like the idea of, just taking, basically one or two colors to do a whole painting. And that's mostly it was done in, of course, the blue, and then there was a little darker shade of it, and with the clouds. But it was kind of fun to do. I like the idea of using a little rather than a lot sometimes.
It works really well. Thanks, Elaine.
Okay. Good to see you, everybody.
Good to see you. Give Ruby a treat for me.
Here.
All right. We've got just a handful more that I'm gonna zip through pretty quickly because we're running over time. This is by Sarah Red, called Blue Heels. This piece is pastel, I believe. Just double check. Yes, pastel, 8.5 by 13. And Sarah lives in Monmouth County, New Jersey. Here's a couple pieces by Susanna Ronner. Susanna does some really wonderful work with monotypes. This is Untitled number 2. And then we have Untitled number 1. I've had a number of Susanna's works in the gallery before. I have a nice selection of Susanna's works on Artsy as well. Susanna's been creating since COVID. She's been, she's a regular printmaker at the Woodstock School of Art printmaking department. But since COVID, they haven't been able to go in. So she's been recycling a lot of her monotypes into collage works, and she's been doing one a day, really vibrant, small collages. So there's going to be a whole series of those available up on Artsy soon. It's called In Quietude, and they're really stunning, really beautiful. Marilyn Rowley, this is a really wonderful piece by Marilyn. It's pastel on mixed media. This is called Soar, and Marilyn has a really great way with birds, especially. So this is Soar, and then this is a second piece called Storm. It's inks and acrylics with a little bit of collage. This is by Onyx River. This is by Amy Schnitzer. This piece sold before the show opened. It is a stackable pottery.
Oh, nice.
And Amy will be exhibiting more of her works here. We're talking about doing a pop-up in the spring. This is a piece by Rita Sherry. It's called Family Album. This is number 1. And then she's got a second one. This is number 2. This is a little bit of collage and acrylic on canvas. And then she's got a mixed media piece called Lady Blue. This is an abstract piece, 16 by 20. Speaking of abstract, Roberta Sickler. This is called Guardian. It's oil on paper. Roberta lives in Woodstock as well. Roberta, some really, really wonderful abstract work, and there's always elements of landscape in her work. Speaking of landscape, Margaret Still. Oil on canvas. Margaret lives here in Saugerties, and I just love Margaret's work. She takes road trips with her husband and photographs different sites along her travels a lot into the South, and then recreates them in oil. This is an abstract piece by Sandra Taylor. Sandra lives in New Jersey. This is called Dreamscape. This is called Wax and Mixed Media. And again, has real landscape quality to it. John Verner. This is called Blue Reflection, and this is a photograph. And John, I know you're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are.
Yeah, so I have two pieces in the show here, and one is a cityscape and one is a landscape. Which one did you mention, Robert?
We've got both up. So we have the Blue Reflection.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then
So
we have the Blue Alley.
okay. So the Blue Reflection is a landscape, and the other image, Blue Alley, is a urbanscape, a cityscape. And I think the color blue, kind of getting back to what it's all about, I think blue is a very interesting color in that it can either be dark and moody or bright and cheerful.
Yeah.
And you can say that about a lot of colors, but I think it's even more so with blue having a larger dynamic range. Now that one there, the cityscape one, I actually did in India. And in northern India, a lot of the buildings are painted blue.
Mm-hmm.
And there you go. Yeah, so a lot of the buildings are painted blue. And this was just a back alley that was just mesmerizing with the half image of the lips and the doors and the blue and the greens. Everything is very colorful and vibrant in India.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in here.
I just love being there photographing.
Even just the little sliver of red on the bottom here on the, I think it's a stool. You know, I mean, it's
yeah, and that complements the lips too.
Yeah, nice little surprises in this piece.
Yeah, and so the other one, the landscape one, that was done in Blue Reflection. That was done in Yosemite National Park. I don't know if that one's if you have that one up, Robert, or not.
It's just this one. No, I just have the Blue Reflection. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I have a mixture between a cityscape and landscapes.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's great being in the shows, and I appreciate you doing these discussions with the artists, Robert. I think it's
always a
great.
pleasure. I enjoy them, and it seems like everyone else does too. So let's keep them going, even when we get back to regular openings.
Right.
Thank you so much, John.
All right, thanks, Robert.
We have a piece now. This is Blue on Blue by Claudia Warwick, 9 by 11. Claudia makes her own handmade paper, so this is all indigo dyed handmade paper collaged together. J.D. Weiss, this is something completely different for J.D. Weiss. A lot of you may know her photography. She uses traditional 2¼ film. But this is something completely different for her. It's an encaustic piece with some different oils. So I was really pleased to get this from JD. This is a really wonderful piece by Angela White. It's a small piece, 6 by 6. This is encaustic with some blue leaf. You know, I'm familiar with gold leaf and, you know, other leaves, but I really didn't know about blue leaf. So I was really pleased to discover that through Angela's work. And then our last piece is Mediterranean. This is a porcelain piece by Blake Zecker. All right. Just wanted to go back again to just show you again, if you wanted to spend a little time with each work. I know I went pretty quickly through a lot of them, but you can, you know, you're welcome to go and have a look at each individual piece, spend a little time with them, get to know a little bit more about the artist. This is the current show right now, Something Blue. We have a few other shows that are current as well, a few solo shows. We've got Leslie Bodsey, Wrapping and Unveiling. We have Arabella Colt and the Wall Dogs of San Francisco, 1990s. Marjorie Magid, the whimsical art of Marjorie Magid. Where are we? Sorry, man. I'm losing it here. Here we go. Whimsical, the art of Marjorie Magid. We also have Ed Berkey's In the Moment, and Barbara Adrian Rosen, Catskill Landscapes. These are really gorgeous, different abstract landscapes made of handmade paper. So that's our show, folks. I just wanted to, thank everyone for joining us. I hope everyone enjoyed themselves, and learned a little more about each of the artists. And hopefully, you'll see a lot more from everybody. So thank you, everyone, and we'll be doing this again. The next show is an online show. It's a photography show. The following at the gallery will be a collage show in May. My shows now are 2 months instead of 1 month. So this show is up until the end of April. So please come on in and check it out. A lot of this work really deserves to be seen in person. But you can also look at it online, and it's all available online. So thank you, everyone. Please tell your friends about the show. We'll hope to see you all again. Bye. Have a good blue day, whatever blue means to you.